You guys are putting your phone away?
I'm not.
You're not.
I got notes.
That's what I'm saying. Nowadays, like, phone is a new computer. It's like having your laptop when I was in university, right? Some teachers would hate on it.
Yeah, which is, in retrospect, insane.
Yeah,
it was actually a really good idea because I was playing Counter-Strike Source on my laptop when I was in...
You just got no self-control. That's why you got to put your phone away.
I loved CS so much when I was in university. I couldn't help it.
Traditional journalist right there with the pen and the paper.
Hey, there's evidence to suggest that writing something down on paper helps you remember it, okay?
I believe that, actually.
And I do it for that reason.
I legitimately believe that.
All right?
Okay, well, is this music suitable for...
No, it's not.
It's really
I don't know why you
childlike
chose it.
and wacky.
It's terrible.
Okay, fine. I'll change the song as long as you promise to start this thing up. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do it. Get freakier? That's what this is called?
So I want to know the party where that first song played, and then the next track on the playlist was this track.
Get freakier.
Because
Listen.
I feel like that is not a party I would want to be at.
Let's talk esports, can we?
Okay, I might as well do that intro now. Welcome to theScore Esports Podcast. I am your host, Colin McNeil.
What's up, Colin?
What's up, Ryan?
Hey!
And this is Josh Burry.
I'm not yet Kyle Chatterson, but one day I hope to be.
It's a pleasure having you on. You're doing double duty today, Josh.
Yeah.
You were literally just talking to Amazing on our League of Legends specific podcast, The Nexus.
Yeah, it was a great discussion. He got really candid about a lot of stuff. And then we did some quick rapid fire stuff about the EU LCS and NA LCS that are starting up this week. So definitely check that out if you're interested in that.
And I mean, the only reason that we had to go rapid fire at the end is because he was eloquent, he was good, he gave good lengthy answers, and again, I really enjoyed that one for sure.
Now, that was that. This is
now!
We have, coming up in just a few moments, Robert Del Papa. He is the GM and head of business development at Tempo Storm. So he's going to be with us in just a few moments. Pretty excited to talk to this guy. We are going to be biting off a little chunk of the Nexus, actually, and talking a little bit about LCS franchising.
True.
And scrimming, some controversial issues that have just arisen that we'll get into later, and probably a whole bunch of other stuff. Maybe get some dirt on Reynad. I don't know.
It's a grab bag. It's a grab bag of topics for sure. We definitely want to address a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I think Tempo Storm is as an esports organization is really interesting. Well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I know, right?
I'm getting ahead of myself. So why don't we introduce our guest?
Okay, Josh.
Why don't we bring him on?
Let's do it. Like I said, guys, we have Robert Del Papa, the general manager and head of business development at Tempo Storm. Robert, welcome to the Score Esports Podcast.
Round of applause! There he is. How's it going?
Hey guys, good. How's it going?
Excellent.
Very good. It's a wonderful Tuesday. I almost said Monday because we usually record on a Monday, but it's a wonderful Tuesday afternoon here in Toronto, Canada. Where are you broadcasting from?
So I'm near LA. I'm in a small little crappy city called Bakersfield. So it's about 100 miles away from Santa Monica. But yeah, I do work remotely.
Shout out to that blazer and Tempo Storm shirt you got going on. That's a pretty nice combo.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it very much.
You've definitely become legendary. I think that much is certain.
That's what happens when you join Tempo Storm. That was really the entire reason I did it.
So that's actually a great lead into my first question, which is why did you join Tempo Storm, and what is it that you actually do for them? Like, I think in the past you've said that you get Reynad coffee. You've told me you get Reynad coffee. That can't possibly be true, can it?
It definitely has happened, and it is part of the job. But no, I actually I appreciate the question, and I joined because of Reynad mostly. So before I was at Tempo Storm, I actually worked at, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Alpha Draft. It was the fantasy esports platform. It was acquired by FanDuel. It did League of Legends, CSGO, a couple other games. I was the director of esports and marketing there. One of the brands we worked with was Tempo Storm, and it was kind of, to me, one I didn't know as much about because I come from the League of Legends space in the early days. I was the COO of Counterlogic Gaming. So I'd be familiar with, the Cloud9s, the TSMs, the Team Liquids. Tempo Storm I had known for Hearthstone. I knew for the Heroes of the Storm team. And then I actually talked to Reynad and picked his brain a little bit. And I was like, wow, this guy is super intelligent. And, he really knows what he's doing. And, he wants to expand into more games. And that's really interesting to me. We actually, after we met up a few times, I brought him as my +1 to the Playboy Mansion.
What?
Yeah, it was actually I couldn't get his attention, guys. Like he was always way too busy chasing girls. I was just not cool. So I'm like, okay, like how am I going to get this guy's attention here? FanDuel holds their annual finals at the Playboy Mansion, and I skipped my boss and went to the big boss. I'm like, yeah, I have this big partner, really, high roller. I need to bring him in so we can close a deal. Well, it was Reynad, right? So Reynad was my +1, and we had some time there to have some fun, chat a little bit, and I kind of knew at that point that Tempo Storm was the org I wanted to join, though there were certainly other ones I was really interested in joining. Working in an org is way more interesting to me, building a brand, than, say, working at like one of the side tertiary businesses. Not that fantasy esports isn't a cool concept or the same thing like betting. I think they're interesting, but I like where I am right now. And certainly I had talked to Echo Fox a little bit. That was a place that was really enticing. A couple other orgs as well.
The fact that he chose, he's got one golden ticket to Willy Wonka's Playboy Mansion, and instead of taking his best buddy, he goes business, and he goes Tempo Storm. I mean, that right there already makes me interested in whatever they have to offer, because clearly this guy knows that there's something good going on at Tempo Storm. I got to hear more.
Ryan falls in love with guest in record time.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
that's a new record,
maybe
Robert.
he's got another ticket to the Playboy Mansion.
So right next time you want to go, is that it, Ryan? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. Anything I can
He
do.
read you like a book.
Let me go put on the blazer.
Is this real though? Did this actually happen? Like, I'm still kind of in shock that that's how this happened.
Playboy Mansion?
Yeah, I don't know. Some people, I shared this story with some people, but yeah, no, it was seriously. There was another partner. So I was the chief of marketing, our chief of operations. It was partly his suggestion. He was kind of a Reynad fan. He was a Reynad Reckful fan. Well, he still, I don't want to say was. He works for us. He still is. And he basically helped seed the idea because he goes to that party every year. He'd gone several times, and he's like, if you really want to get his attention, it's like 100 Playboy bunnies and unlimited drinks and food, like that's the way to do it. So it really happened.
Hell of a business model.
That's
holy shit.
I got to remember that one.
Scoped it, by the way. So it might still be, the recording might still be there. I actually pulled him away from joining a tournament. He had a giant tournament, and I low keyed him. He was like, I don't know the opportunity cost of going to London and playing in Face It. And I'm like, you're right. You know what, Andrey? Plenty of other people that want to go to the mansion. I'm sure there'll be another chance for this. And he canceled. He's like, wait, no, and he canceled immediately. And the rest is history, I guess.
Robert knows how to leverage himself into a fucking deal, man.
Yeah.
Holy.
Well, Robert, when you are not A, getting coffee, and B, taking people to the Playboy Mansion, what is the bread and butter of your position at Tempo Storm?
Yeah. Well, those are two core aspects of my position.
I see.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's actually I come from business, so I have my master's in business. I come from an entrepreneurial business background. I'm here to be basically Reynad's business guy. So player acquisition, contracts, sponsored deals, investor, basically closing investment money, entering new games. Specifically, Andrey really wanted to join League of Legends. Overwatch was something he had interest in as well, so we have teams in that. Those are things that I helped head up with him. He doesn't personally have experience having been with Riot Games. He doesn't have all of the contacts there. He does have a lot of contacts, and he's a person who Riot has explicitly, looked for to possibly join their league. And so I wanted to help him get there, and I wanted to help basically develop the brand. Run the marketing initiatives. We actually run multiple businesses at Tempo Storm. They are still esports related, but a lot of people think of an esports brand. We're a production company. We're an esports brand, and we also do tech. So basically, we have a pretty talented web dev team that does tech stuff. It's mostly for Hearthstone right now, but that could expand in the future.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff going on. Now you mentioned Overwatch. I do want to get to that, but
Okay.
I want to start off with the LCS a little bit. In April, theScore Esports reported that Riot will be transitioning to a franchising model in 2018. Actually, Josh was a byline on that story, so he knows all about it.
Hi. Yes.
Before we start poking at you with some more specific questions, is there anything you can say on franchising?
I mean, if you have specific questions, I certainly,
Nice
I'm
try,
aware.
Colin.
Yeah, I'm aware of a lot that's going on, and I've spoken with Riot as well. I'd say, in a nutshell, you'll probably hear me repeat this. I generally believe it to be the right direction for them. There's, I'd say, a lot more pros than cons, and you've probably heard a lot of them from people like Noah Winston and other team owners. It's something that I think was a long ways in the making, and now it seems like the right time for them.
It's interesting. Why is now the right time?
Well, one, they don't want Blizzard to outshine them. That's for sure with Overwatch. So there's one reason, but no, I think that it was about having the right mix of folks that are available to be in. Granted, they have said to some degree that it's not necessarily if you're in the LCS that doesn't necessarily guarantee you your spot. That's kind of an open topic currently. However, I think longer ago there were more people coming in to make a quick buck, not here for the long term. I think they want people that believe in League of Legends as a long play. They need to share those rights, the broadcasting rights and the other revenue streams, because it's kind of stagnated. Like the game has, it's still growing in a lot of regions, but it's also stagnated or even gone backwards in some. And it's hard for organizations to make money without, actually sharing in basically broadcasting rights, licensing rights, possibly microtransactions. If you think stuff like Valve does, right? Those would all be things that would make it favorable for the organizations, which I think needs to be. Unless you're like TSM, Cloud9, ABCLG, Team Liquid, you're basically burning a lot of capital to not get a lot of return to just kind of stay in this thing. The other thing is it really stresses. Now that better, like really good owners are in the league, it really stresses them out to have to play to avoid relegation, and so they can't make the strategic acquisitions of players or develop talent quite as well. They have to always have that like sort of Damocles over their head. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's like I think that this is the time to do it. Maybe they could have even done it a little sooner, I suppose. It's probably pretty healthy for the league, though.
Wow. Okay. So presuming that we do move forward with this franchising model, would Tempo Storm be interested in having one of those franchises?
Do you have another Playboy ticket to get yourself in the LCS?
Oh, I don't think they're accepting that.
I think it costs a little more than that, maybe.
It might cost a little more than that, you guys. It might. I need to find like a ticket, like I don't know, maybe like I need to get like one of those trips to the moon with Elon Musk or something.
Oh God.
Maybe that'll get us in. I don't know.
That much?
It's you and Mark Merrill in a space capsule. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I feel like that would get us in.
Maybe.
Yeah. So obviously that's why we did it. That's why we created a team in NACS. I definitely talked to Reynad about being acutely aware that this will be a difficult battle, guys. Like, meaning there are a lot of really good brands in now. A lot of the teams are really strong. Looking to, even qualify or promote is not even a necessary, not a guarantee that you're in. Even doing that. So even being a winning team, you have to be a winning team and a winning brand. I certainly think we're a winning brand. Hopefully we're also a winning team. That's pretty important too. And, they haven't released how many slots there will be necessarily, but I think there's an argument that we're ahead of a couple of the brands that are already in terms of, we definitely are in terms of social reach and brand engagement. That's, we have a pretty large audience. But I also think they might expand it. They've gone back and forth on that, so it's hard to say. But we find it to be worth the shot. We want to show our dedication, and we'd like to be part of that permanently if we can.
So is that what the challenger team is then? Because this is sort of my question, having reported on the franchising story and knowing that, teams getting promoted aren't guaranteed. Teams who are currently in aren't guaranteed. So is this challenger team sort of a show of like, yes, we're in it for the long haul. We want to be a part of this esport?
Yeah, put simply, it is. So it's not like I don't want to. There are other teams that are lower tier challenger teams. We'll say we have talent like some of the guys on our team. We have like LCS experience almost all the way through. I think at this point we do. So this isn't like we just threw together some ragtag team. It's a really strong roster. It certainly beats LCS teams currently in scrims. I get that it's just scrims, but they are big name people. They're good at the game. They've been around a while. It's a strong brand identity. We have, great coaching and management staff. I'd say some of the best I've ever seen. And so we didn't like half-ass this. It was kind of like we want to go all in because we have to prove ourselves over someone else if there's not extra slots, right? So if we just kind of half-ass and said, yeah, we ran it, we didn't even make it to playoffs or whatever, right? Like it wouldn't mean anything. So yes, the answer, that's what it's for.
And I got to follow up. You said there are some teams that are already confirmed, and I want to know when is it that they're hoping to wrap all this up and announce the teams? And I guess the second part of that is, are teams going to be merely bought in, or what are the check marks that you at Tempo Storm need to fulfill in order to have a viable chance at this franchising?
Yeah, it's fair. I didn't say I know necessarily who's in, but
no, fair enough.
Certainly. Yeah, the check marks are probably what you'd expect. So having spoken to the guys, I have another meeting with them soon. So to be frank with you guys, some of it's pretty NDA stuff, and the rest of it I don't actually know yet, right? So, they were very clear on we have a chance. I mean, that was 100% part of the messaging. Financing will matter, basically capital of your org. Brand value will matter. Ability to run, the infrastructure and staff for competitive pro esports. They may look, again, obviously a lot of people may think other sports brands will come in, so that may be proof of, having run a successful NBA team is proof that you know what you're doing. Those are the check marks you could expect. We want to show that we have the brand, we have the infrastructure, we have the talent. I think we have a great internal management team outside of just League. I think there's just excellent staff. But we also want to show that we can win and we take League seriously. And so, Reynad's parlaying his skills from other games and his connections, and he's just a smart guy, right? Into having created a really competitive team. Again, we'll see how the results go, but I think that piece would seal the deal if it's on the fence for them, right? If it's like, well, do they have the money? Well, maybe, if we need to get a certain amount, we can get it. Do they have the brand? We do. Are they a winning team, and are they good and healthy for our brand? Well, we need to prove that to them.
Fair enough. The last question on franchising before we move on is this taking up a lot of your time? Like, do you feel that you're up against a deadline, and this is one of your top priorities at Tempo Storm?
Yeah, it's actually so. In the beginning, I ran it a lot. I don't run it at this point anymore. So, like I said, we have really highly qualified staff. Again, League of Legends is pretty developed as an esport, so I have a lot of respect for the general managers and owners of almost all the teams that are in currently. I'd say probably all of them. Right now, we have a guy running it who's extremely qualified. He has an advanced degree. I think he's working on his PhD in psychology. He's someone who really knows. He's kind of a Weldon-ish type. He really knows how to work with he knows how to work with their staff and players. We have our coach, LS, if you guys are familiar with him.
Yes, we are. We are very familiar with LS.
LS is, he's kind of he has an interesting reputation, but I can tell you I love the guy, and his knowledge is unmatched, I'd say. He's probably one of the best coaches in the Western region, and he's there in Korea on the ground floor working with talent that people don't even know exists. And, he works with so many players. He's casted for so long. He sees things that other people don't see. With those two running it, I feel very confident, and so I don't have to have as much hand in it anymore. Basically, they tell me who the best players they've scouted are, and they tell me to close them. And that's kind of where we're at. Like, I rely on them to make those decisions.
I just wanted to jump in there and ask for real, this time seriously, last
ahead.
question about franchising, which was, you've been talking a lot about factors like social media reach and team infrastructure and things like that, and not so much about money, which is really interesting to me because I sort of assumed that a lot of this might come down to money. Now, even though you guys have that challenger team, you have that infrastructure, you have that endemicness about you, what would put the Tempo Storms of the world over, say, an NBA franchise or an NFL franchise that decides, we want a piece of the LCS?
Sure. There's So I want to like be clear. There's a lot of balls in the air on this one, and my answer to you is why not both? That could be possible. We have a lot of conversations going with different levels of investors, sports teams included. So, I'm actually going to take the cue from Riot to see, our mentality on this is, we know what we're doing, and we believe in, ourselves very heavily. We don't want to take on unnecessary investment. Basically, we don't want to do it if we don't have to, but it depends on what the ask is. And at a certain ask, it requires a certain level of investor. And, you can expect a partnership at that point to be pretty, if that's what you're fishing for, to be pretty clear about that.
I don't know if he knew what he was fishing for, honestly.
Most of my questions aren't fishing for anything.
Why am I here?
No, I didn't mean to imply it. Yeah, no, that certainly, we don't have. I'll be upfront, you guys. We don't have the capital on hand if the ask is, gigantic. But we are currently in discussions with VC groups, independent investors, and sports franchises. Currently, even if a sports franchise wants in, think like maybe Dignitas, for instance, right? Like, or Splice. Like, they don't necessarily know how to run esports, and by not necessarily, they don't. They don't. There's no reason they would. They know how to run sports teams. They don't understand this market the same way. They haven't been here for 6+ years or 10 years, right? There's a lot. The esports audience does not monetize as well as the traditional sports audience. It's like 1/7 the rate. Like very ad immune. There's a lot of these. I can go into marketing stuff all the time, but there's a lot of these factors. You need to be thinking about hitting different vertical markets. You can't just expect the traditional model to be from other sports to just instantly work, and you can't be too top heavy on it. You need to really be down in the weeds and understand, how to get in the minds of these young athletes. Where in traditional sports, you grow up watching football, most people grow up watching these things, right? And they're integrated into the system. You do it. You play it in high school. You play it in college. There's leagues for these things. There's drafts. There's
a workflow. Yeah,
So for here, you can't just come in and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go find the best kids, sign them. Like I'll go find some Koreans or something. I don't know. Like sign them and win stuff, and then like we make money. Yay! Like, and I'm not saying it's that they don't have that simple a view, but they're aware that they don't know the hearts and minds of these players and of the industry, and frankly, if they want to do other esports, like each one has its own ecosystem and its own nuances that you need to be familiar with to be successful, right? The most successful orgs are still endemic, right? Like you go look at like Cloud9s and TSMs. They're not run by sports franchises. I'm not saying the sports franchises don't know what they're doing, but I certainly think there's a fair argument that they could use some help. And I think a partnership in that realm would be, everyone wants to say, what about sports, franchises versus endemics? Well, why not working together? That would be what I would suggest.
Yeah, I think there's organizations that are starting to work together, like with consultations of esports, and it's great to see, man.
Strong
that's
answer.
Yeah.
That was,
strong,
yeah.
Nice.
I gotta hand it to you.
Full point, strong answer.
He's got
on
the
that
blazer
one.
for a reason.
Yeah, it's no joke. He gets the Playboy tickets, for a reason.
But no, like that's we've seen the Houston Rockets.
Yes.
They have a front office guy, Seb Park, who is going to help them enter esports. That's his stated job, but they don't have anything yet, right? And so like you have to imagine that a lot of these teams are starting to look like, how do we even do this? Like, how do we get in? And if you haven't,
Josh,
ordered,
you just start a league playing virtual basketball. It's really simple.
That's what's actually that's what they're trying to do. Virtual basketball.
Well, it's already done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening, right?
It's a done deal. For sure.
Yeah.
Talking about, of course, about the NBA 2K E League.
Yes.
They call it the E League.
Ugh. Do they really call it the E League?
Yes, it's called the E League.
That is confusing.
Yeah.
There's one E League I'm going to watch and one that I'm not. You know what I mean?
Oh man. That's
Shots.
savage. How
Sorry,
do you know-
I'm
how
sorry.
do you know it's even good. Like you
Very.
haven't even watched it. Like you don't even know if it's good. Like
I've watched people play NBA 2K before. Okay, we're getting off topic here. Into my various hates. Robert, I want to circle back to something you said actually like 10 minutes now.
The scrimming?
Yeah, the scrimming. Woo-hoo! Yeah, you read my mind. A couple days ago, C9 Jack tweeted The Echo Fox is apparently just scrimming Delta Fox, and they canceled a scrim with them. Now, we don't have any information beyond that, but assuming that is true, what up with that is my question.
Up with that. Okay. All right, guys. So first of all, I want to be very clear on a few things. One, first of all, I absolutely love Echo Fox as an organization, and I've met Rick Fox a couple of times, and I love what he's doing. And two, I don't actually know things, so I can give you what people have told me, so it's completely speculative. So, I'm not on the ground floor of these things, like I said, but I have heard, certain rumors basically that Echo Fox is unhappy with the way things are being run, and they've been kind of a standout from the franchise model potentially. Again, these are I cannot confirm these things directly from Echo Fox, and that essentially they believe it to be a stronger model to basically show rather than like towing the line, they want to take a firm stand on the way they run their business. And to go further from that, those are only things I've heard from like speculation. Having talked to Rick and knowing a little bit about Chase, they definitely are leaders in the sense of like they want to run things the way they want to, and I actually respect that part about them a lot.
It's admirable, yeah.
The same thing with the Overwatch League. I talked to them in the early days about it, and everyone else was picking up teams, and they had told me they had an entirely different plan. They had their way they wanted to run it was nowhere like, we're not just going to pick up 6 dudes that play together. We want to possibly run our own combine kind of system internally. These are all like ideas that are like pretty cool. So like I know that's their philosophy, or at least I've seen it. As far as this stuff specifically in League, I've been told it's a little bit of a fight against the system. It's a little bit of, we don't want to show our strats to others. There's the belief that keeping an internal, there's more to be gained to basically improving yourself internally than to expose what you have to the rest of the world, so people can find ways to beat you basically. Right now we're like relegation has always existed, but there's some argument for like basically keeping, like if you think you're good enough to be in and you think your team's already good enough, like there's some risk in exposing what you're doing, but there's also a lot of risk in not getting the good practice you need against real teams. So the argument can be made either way, but that's really as much as I know. A lot of my on-the-ground managers have said the same thing about not being able to scrim them, and their reasons why. But it's I don't think it's anything too much more sinister than that.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I mean, for Echo Fox, if these are not just guys who have thrown money and wanted to like you said, throw money, get Koreans, profit. I think that these are guys who have clearly been part of sports teams that have been through the trials and tribulations, have been doing scrims in traditional sports, they've been doing practicing. So to change the landscape of what we come to know as common with esports and League of Legends, maybe they want to put a different model in it. Just like Robert had said, maybe they're standing strong on the stance that they don't want to expose what they're doing with other teams. They don't want to scrim besides their internal practice. I mean, we see it all the time in traditional sports, and maybe this is just a step in a different direction. Who knows? It might pay off for them.
It's possible, and I definitely didn't mean to suggest that there's anything nefarious behind this alleged like internal scrimming only kind of thing. I just thought, I'm not a league head like Josh is, but I just think that if you don't play the best, you ain't gonna be the best. Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
But also flip side, devil's advocate. If I own an LCS franchise right now, and I know that I can't get relegated at the end of this split, I can spend this split a lot differently.
Okay.
Than I might otherwise. And I'm not saying that necessarily that is what's happening here, but just devil's advocate, you can do what you want with the split if your spot in spring split is not dictated by your placement in summer 2017.
That is a fair point, yes.
So I actually don't mind this. It does kind of suck that it sounds like the scrim block with C9 was sort of canceled at a time when C9 thought they were going to be scrimming, or that it was seemingly implied by that tweet, which sucks. obviously, but
Don't take anything personally. It's a rule to live by.
okay.
Josh is deeply wounded.
No, I'm not wounded
C9
on
didn't get
C9's
to
behalf. I'm just saying, I think that if you know, okay, next split, it's about getting in. It's about my application, and I want to show that I have 10 plus players. It's plus, obviously, because they have like almost 10 people on Echo Fox now, and then they have Delta Fox, right? So if you want to show, we have all this talent. We've been nurturing this talent internally. And we want to be a part of your league. We're dedicated to developing talent in this league. Like, look at what we have.
And having a lower tier team and like having, being fully developed, a holistic approach to this franchising thing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of sucks that they will not get that practice, because I do think over a long enough period of time, it will be detrimental.
But
I
hold
do
on,
think that.
is it detrimental? Because I mean, we're already talking about burnout and the fact that they play too much, and they need some
They're
player.
still scrimming their other team, though. Right?
I know, but all I'm saying is you don't need to necessarily play against these top tier teams in order to get better. I think that you can get.
I think you actually necessarily do.
I
To be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's even if they don't scrim them all the time, they still seem enough. I mean, they've got 2 games through the NALCS. They've got other tournaments. They've got all kinds. People are talking about burnout. I figure maybe it's just a way to step back from those scrims as well in order
Do you want to learn during the games where it matters, or do you want to
What
learn
do you mean the
during
games where it
doesn't
matters?
matter?
Everyone
During
talking
the
about
LCS
spring
games.
split like it doesn't matter. You're talking about LCS like it
Okay,
does.
fair.
You just said LCS could. I mean, if you're not, as long as you make playoffs, if it doesn't fucking matter, if you're just like, hey, there's no relegation, no worries, take risks, then maybe it doesn't matter.
These are
yeah.
people's careers we're talking about, though, too, right? Like if you end up in a situation where you don't get the practice that you need and you look bad when you're playing, I mean, that could affect a player's
That's
future
a good
prospects.
point.
Have
too,
any
right?
Echo Fox players been upset? Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
No, you guys are fine. Like, you guys have a lot more to say about this, to be honest. But no, I definitely see both sides of it. Like, again, it's early stages in what we know, so I know it's fun to talk about, and I agree. But we've even ourselves had, considered having a sister team. We may still do it. There is a lot of merit to it. But I see the point at the same time. There's an argument to be made that, if you're not playing the Cloud9s and TSMs, like you're not seeing shifts in meta, you're not playing the best, so you're not improving yourself. But you're right. There may be less at stake this time, and it may be another sign of like, hey, we can do it differently and still be successful. So, what happens if we speculate on this and they end up doing just fine? Like, let's say they don't, they're not going to win the split, for instance, but, they don't get totally destroyed at, right out of the gate. And people don't know what they're going to do. They've hidden it really well. I don't know that the players deteriorate that much.
Thank you.
You cut him off, though.
No, I said thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's okay.
He's backing you up, Robert.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Like,
I don't know. I guess my question is, like, if you had a big enough talent pool of players, you could definitely have quality scrims, right? Like, theoretically, if you had like a good roster full of people, and that would be better if those players were good enough. That might be better than exposing your strategies, because it's not like NFL teams are like scrimming each other during the season.
Well, I mean,
right?
they got offense versus defense, so they can do that. With league, it's 5 against 5, and then you need different rosters. But I mean, you could do it in NFL. I don't know if the same thing works unless they've got 10 people that could just easily fluidly sub in and out.
The other thing is internal. Sorry if I cut you off. Like, internal scrims are, again, so the talent could theoretically be, I mean, it should be lower, right? Like, you don't get to expose yourself to outside talent. But at the same time, scrims are very inefficient. Games are decided sometimes, pretty often at 15, 20 minutes, right? And then you often play them out because you need agreement from the other team when to stop, right? So if you're trying to learn something very specifically, or trying a new jungle path, or trying a synergy between 2 guys, or just working on your wards, right? You can do all those things, and you control both teams, so you can basically do drill type of scenarios at like 3x the speed, because I don't have to go say, hey, Cloud9, we did the thing we wanted to do, I don't care what you got out of it, like, I got mine, like, we're done, right? Like, they're not going to be okay with that. And so at Echo Fox, maybe that's part of it as well. They can also mix and match players too. It could be surprise who you're gonna go against when LCS hits. There's a lot to be said there, but you can accelerate the blocks. Everyone internally learns. You can go through the replays faster. You can get it over with, and I'd say it literally cuts down. This is like from a non-knowledgeable person's rough, I'd say it cuts down on it's a third of the time, or sorry, it's 3 times faster. I said it the wrong way. Basically, it's 3 times faster to do a scrim internally to get what you want out of it than to have to deal with the waiting for people in lobbies and ending when the match is decidedly over by both sides, because the other side might be wanting to learn something that happens at 50 minutes in with item builds, and you only wanted to learn something that happens at 15.
And I got to back up Robert on this. I imagine, I don't know what kind of software there exists in the game, but I imagine that Echo Fox has something where they can, pause a game, go back 30 seconds and reset and do it again and again. I imagine, and coming from, obviously these guys are basketball players, and coming from any traditional sports, a lot of times you'll play unopposed or opposed against scrims, and you're able to blow it down, everybody freeze, and go over what's happening right now. Where should you be? Why the hell are you right there? You're supposed to be here. You're able to break it down. You can't do that during a scrim, and it is taking up time. So I think those are good points.
Now I want to.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Robert. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I want to move on to Overwatch League if we can. However, I'm going to jam in a call-in question real quick.
Yes, call-in question.
It's about Street Fighter.
We're talking all about Echo Fox, and one of the things that you and Echo Fox have Tempo Storm, the entity known as Tempo Storm, have in common is that you have tendrils in the FGC. Echo Fox has quite a lot, and I'm always interested when larger organizations decide to invest in the FGC. You had Chris G. Right now you have some Smash players, Axe and S2J. And what for you makes it worth it to have a presence in the fighting game community? So
it's actually a pretty easy question. Is that community is just more ravenous? I'd say they're a very it's a smaller community, but they're more highly engaged, and we run a lot of events. So remember at the beginning I talked about event production stuff. Smash events are smash hits. They do really well. There's a lot more. Okay, so to be direct, the cost to get in is not terribly high unless you're talking about the very, very top tier talent, which sometimes, we might be talking about that. But specifically, we run fireside gatherings, and which is going to be Hearthstone stuff. We run Heroes of the Storm stuff. We run Smash stuff, and we potentially could partner or run things. And when I say Smash, I mean Melee. Could be Smash 4, could be Street Fighter. Those communities, I think, get a little bit overlooked, and there's a lot of value to be had to local events and regionalized events. Not to say that Evo isn't really great. It is. Basically, it's a low-cost thing to do for a business and a high engagement. And if you're a business that's focused on or a brand that wants to present yourself to, regional and local communities as well, it's a great way to do it. So this is something I think I saw you had Devin Nash on your program.
Did indeed.
A couple weeks back. One thing he said that really stood out to me is, everyone talks about raw numbers, have 100 million billion fans, right? Or have 100, or what was his rule, 1,000, 100 or 1,000 giving you $1,000, $100, whatever it was.
Math is hard. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. We're all journalists, unfortunately. So math is
okay. It's math. So let's some math thing that made sense at the time, right? And so essentially those fans are worth more in a sense, I guess, to be clear, and you can do more with them, and you can do a different thing, which is production at live events, and there's a lot more to be had at a live event than as opposed to you can watch our Overwatch team play online and stream, sure, but you can't come close and interact with them, shake their hands, sign stuff, play next to your favorite players, and in the fighting game community you can do that, and that's really valuable to a brand for fan engagement, and frankly I think it just makes a lot of business sense.
Fair enough.
And let me just chime in. I met X and S2J, and both of those dudes are awesome in the live environment. They're super friendly. I mean, those are the guys that you want on the ground floor. And I'm just saying, special mention to those two.
Thank you. Yeah, they're really great players. Some people if you know the scene, you know them. Some people only know the some of the big top guys, but it's the gods of the scene. But no, it's brand evangelists, people that are fun to be around. I mean, at the end of the day, remember, gaming is, esports is about having fun, right? We do this because we love gaming, and working with people like that is certainly a joy. We want champions, and I'm not saying these guys couldn't be champions. They definitely have the potential to be, but for us having strong brand personalities is extremely key in our talent decisions, and people that represent us well and make the community happy and have fun. That's really what this is all about.
Well, shout out to the Smash community and all of the FGC.
I knew you just wanted to do that.
You
just wanted to do that.
That was a feel good answer, so made me feel good.
Now, what's going on with this Overwatch league?
Yeah, we'll move on.
Oh, God.
You've got a cool poster in the background there. Yeah, exactly. You not only have a really neat looking Overwatch poster in the background of your shot, you've got 2 teams.
And he's the manager on the website officially.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually a sub on the team on the
Wow.
website. Too.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yeah.
What do you play? What do you
I
play?
think so, unless they got rid of that. No, I'm a support main.
Are you a
I play
Mercy main
Zenyatta.
though?
No, I play Zenyatta.
Okay. Just because Mercy mains are not well loved in the community. I don't know if you know this.
That's a recent trend, guys. Okay, Mercy's a beautiful woman and she's a fine character.
She's
all
a
right?
strong, independent healer who
Yes.
don't need no Reinhardt.
Behind every great team comp,
I love
there is
this.
a great Mercy.
Yeah, no, okay. I just want to make sure because, like, if I have to legally disclose if you're a Mercy main.
Yeah, you would walk
That's
out.
a legally disclosed.
Yes,
Your
I
lawyer
need
told you
legally
that.
on this podcast. If you're a Mercy main, I need to disclose that. So
So-
you're not. We're good.
I would like to clarify this. Okay, 'cause this is Reynad does this to me too, and I literally work with him. Okay, he's like, Robert, you can't tout yourself as an Overwatch player. You're an old man and you're garbage. Okay?
Wow.
Literally, these are the kinds of things I hear. I'd say daily. Okay. This
Yes,
is like-
but that's Robert Del Papa. Cyber Bob is a whole new entity.
Right, exactly. So that's I think I'm greatly underrated, but I actually when I worked at my previous company, and we started to have some this is kind of a dice. Let's say fantasy sports got into some issues. There were some things going on, right? And so I certainly did everything I can to promote what we had worked on our site as much as we could. But there were times when I was asked to hold back on marketing initiatives or things were canceled, right, that I was working on. And it coincided with me having friends at Blizzard and basically getting me in the beta for Overwatch. So I played a fair amount of Overwatch early on. I've been Grandmaster, I think 2 of the seasons, basically.
Ooh.
But in the beginning, I was a top 500 player, like earlier days. I don't play as much recently. I actually played on the team that was, I played and then became the manager of the team that Reynad acquired for Tempo Storm. At least it was half of the team, basically, came over to Tempo Storm. Granted, that roster has shifted at this point, but I was a competitor as well as the manager of that team. So I definitely did play in E-League qualifiers and beat substantially decent teams. I could play the game, and I'd say 6 months ago, I could play the game reasonably well.
I want to say that when you said what Reynad says to you on a regular basis, I actually heard it in Reynad's voice. It was perfect. The words you chose, just immaculate. That's classic Reynad.
That is not an exaggerated. That is one of many things he says to me about that. He literally, we were at BlizzCon and he did it. He's like, we're talking to designers of Overwatch and people at the Overwatch League, and I'm wanting to get my little this is my game that I'm good. You're good at Hearthstone, I'm good at this, and it's he's yeah, Robert's a Mercy main. I'd rather gargle broken glass than watch him play fucking Mercy. Well, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Andrey.
Did Reynad start the Mercy main hate?
Give me a break. He's a one-trick Zenyatta, guys. Okay, he says he plays Zenyatta. It's a one-trick thing. It'd be like playing Zula. He had some analogy. I'm just he berates my skill pretty frequently, actually. There's a 1v1 in a couple of games in our future, by the way.
Oh boy!
shit.
I like that new one where you only get to choose 3 random champions, or random heroes, and you
new
go
mode.
one by one. Yeah, it's cool. I got a loot box yesterday.
Okay, but I think we actually want to ask about Overwatch.
It is true.
Right?
It is
as
true.
cool as that conversation was, and as admirable a deflection as that was from Robert.
You were an enabler, Josh, because
I
Josh
did.
is a huge Overwatch guy for us. Ryan used to stream Overwatch for us, for God's sake. So we got
Pharaoh.
we got
He
a lot of
actually was
Overwatch
pretty
in this
bad
room.
though.
Oh, get out of here!
I thought he was good. I suck though.
What do you play? What do you guys play? I will answer your questions, but I'm I want you to know that Overwatch was the game. That's like, if you want to say what's my game, that's
Okay.
like my game.
I'll say what was my game was Starseed's Tribes, voted like best online game in
Oh,
'98.
okay.
Yeah. So that's something like where you got the jetpack and like people started scripting it to be able to ski, and then there
Remember
was
you
like
showed me this. It was incredible.
disc jumping. So I mean, when it came to Pharaoh, it was a no-brainer. I just jump off to wherever I'm going, and like mid-airing people with the splash damage. It's just like the disc launcher from Starseed's Tribe. So when I'm playing Farah, I just gold medals all day, man. That's me.
There you go. There you go.
I'm actually a Mercy main. So,
Really?
well, I usually just fill. Whatever. So I have a lot of time on Mercy, a lot of time on Reinhardt, and then if I get a chance to DPS, I play McCree basically. And I play a lot of Widowmaker too. So those are like my 4, like, I don't know. I just fill whatever the team needs usually. So yeah.
No, that's good. That's what you should do.
Well, yeah, it doesn't stop people from from locking in a Genji when we have 0 healers and 0 tanks, but whatever.
Speaking of, I am a scrub tier quick play 20 minutes and I'm done player, and I rock that soldier and that diva.
Yeah, you would.
There you
That's
go.
how I
You
roll.
would.
I like to explode my mech. Okay,
So-
that's what I'm about.
Okay.
So do you
that's
do you have a chance to be that what is it, that Thrasher 99 or whatever it was,
Crusher
99 in the
yeah.
Overwatch League? Do you actually have a chance? What's going on? Could somebody tell me? I still don't have answers.
Wow. Actually, no.
Nice segue.
To be honest, guys, like, I really did have the thought of being a competitor. There are competitors actually older than myself. So Overwatch is not like League, where apparently old coots like myself, as Andrey would say, actually can play the game. Like, having the mechanical skill is somewhat high, but the strategy and the MOBA aspects of using ults is there as well. But a lot of it is like having played, like you said, like Tribes, or basically if you played like Quake 2, Quake 3, Counter-Strike 1.6, CSGO, Source, any of those skills do translate. And so I actually had the thoughts about doing that. But to your question, I guess I'm looking for a direct question here about what you're looking
Okay,
for about the
how about this?
Yes, thank
Tempo
you,
Storm has Overwatch teams. There is an Overwatch League on the horizon, near, far, soon, TM. Do you
Q3 perhaps?
is Tempo Storm looking to be a part of that league?
So that's the $20 million question for everyone. So I'm sorry, I had to do that.
Okay.
It's definitely, so Overwatch is something that I will admit I have a pretty personally high interest in, and Reynad and I have gone back and forth on our opinions of what's going on. So to be like as direct as I can and careful with what I'm saying, it's we definitely would want to be in. I don't think anyone would say they would not. Does it make financial sense? So like, there's a lot of rumors going around about what it costs or what it doesn't cost. Again, I can't opine on the truth of those, but let's assume it is an expensive endeavor to do that, right? It doesn't make financial sense necessarily for an org of our size to go in directly, but again, there's the potential for partnership with someone else that could be a thing that would happen. But certainly there will also be kind of the Challenger Contenders League as well.
Yeah.
That's something that is potentially viable on its own. There's an argument to be had for talent acquisition, talent development, and basically selling that talent or trading those contracts to larger orgs. But again, I guess I'm kind of giving away, I don't know if it's secret sauce, but it's something that I personally believe in is, I know who wants to join these, I basically who Blizzard is asking to join and who would like to join. And a lot of these guys, let's just say the non-endemics, don't necessarily have experience running this. So there's the potential to partner with one of them, or even, a strategic partnership to help run it for them would be my answer to you. So, again, being as careful as I can, for us to be like owning a slot directly, let's say that's probably unlikely.
So I'm going to read between the lines here a little bit. And I'm going to say that, like you said earlier, like you would need to raise investment. And you said that that's not something you want to have to do, if at all possible, for something like this. So the partnership, based on what you said, seems to be the avenue, if at all.
That would be, I'd say that'd be pretty fair to say. And given the choice between, like, again, we're doing a lot of things at once, and it may seem, I mean, to be totally upfront, I'd like to seem like I know what I'm doing here, but at the same time, when you have two major publishers doing, I don't want to say crazy stuff, but like stuff that hasn't been done before, right? Like we all kind of, like, 5 years ago, I knew what to do when I was at CLG, and I knew where we were going, and it was like the LCS was announced, right? When it's like, that was fine. It was new, but it like made sense to us, and we got a stipend, and we were gonna be in it, right? Like, this is not that. This is something like, this is like the next chapter that was like the prequel, and this is still like chapter 1 is coming. We don't know what things that we're gonna be. I can't guarantee we'll be in anything. We could be in everything, right? We have to prove that we're worthy of these things, and a lot of them will take a lot of financing to do. I'd say between the two currently, this answer, like, I have to be careful and hedge because things could change in a week, right? Riot could talk to me and my answer could change. Blizzard could talk to me again and my answer could change. Is that League of Legends is something that we don't know necessarily what it takes to be in that. It's possible that makes more sense to raise money directly for that. Whereas Overwatch League, we do have a good idea on what that costs, and it doesn't make financial sense to necessarily do that directly. But then again, we could strategically partner on both.
Is part of that maybe that like we've seen what the League of Legends product is in a sense, like Overwatch League, they're promising stuff, but like we haven't seen that stuff actually happen. Whereas League of Legends, we've actually seen the LCS for several seasons. We understand at a basic level what even a franchise LCS would probably look like in terms of structure and in terms of rev share opportunities, because we know how much money they got from that MLB AM deal, for example. So is it the familiarity of League? Is it fair to say that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reasons you just said and expanding upon those is we know that Overwatch is a success as a game. Like, let's be clear as day. We don't know that Overwatch is a success as an esport. It has not been proven to be that yet. I don't think anyone could argue otherwise. Does it have some markings of a successful game that could be an esport? It does, but let's be real with ourselves. In terms of like Twitch numbers, League of Legends is still going to dominate everything, and Overwatch sits at bounces between like 5th and 7th place. It doesn't even sit like people want to like think it sits like 3rd or 4th or 2nd. It's not. Those numbers came out of Newzoo recently. It's like, and that's a year out from the game. We see very low viewership of the tournaments that exist generally. And of course there's counterpoints to everything, but I mean, we're in stuff all the time. I don't know if you guys have ever watched us, but we're seeing, we're happy with 10K concurrent viewers. Well, at the same time, Reynad will get more than that alone complaining about a card game, right? So it's like, why do I have to have 6 guys and pay X, right? Like, I'm trying to be a little bit facetious, but like, that game hasn't proven to have the audience watching it yet. And I'm sure, a lot of the rumors or things we've heard is regionalization, localization, live events. So basically filling stadiums, right? Yeah. We don't know that we can do that. We haven't even seen, we can fill the Staples Center once every 3 years. Sure, we can fill things for Worlds, and we can fill things for MSI, but not all the time. I go to LCS. I used to go to LCS regularly, and that didn't even fill up and all the time. And that was, I don't even know what that seats, but it's not 1,000. Pretty sure, and it's like $12. I mean, I didn't usually pay to get in, but like,
yeah,
you guys know what I mean, right? So like, we don't know that model works, and we don't even know if the game's successful online in viewership the way League is. So then double down, we don't know yet if that game's successful to run it live, and if that's even interesting to people when done super frequently, right? Like, so I think that there's no argument that DreamHacks do pretty well, and like, a lot of these MLGs and Worlds and stuff, yeah, like they're very expensive to run. A lot of these do run at a loss already. Imagine, would you go like in your local city all the time to watch your local Overwatch team? I'm not saying no, but I'm saying we don't know that yet, and so we have to make assumptions to get to those revenue numbers.
I was so excited about Overwatch. I mean, I believed in it. I love the fact that there's, like this combine, there's a structure to discovering talent. Perhaps I was super excited, but now I see teams starting to drop rosters and look at this. The path to greatness begins. It's still in the announcement.
Well, it all remains to be seen.
I
think Robert is talking a lot of sense though here.
Of course,
it's nice to hear that perspective. Actually, that it's not some sort of like God and Savior of esports.
Well, you know what the thing is
what's
is
that?
it sounds like Robert has Tempo Storm has already kind of discussed like you said, what it costs, so there's not the sort of like we have to be all in on this because we want to get a spot for sure. It's like we're getting the raw deal here, like we're getting the actual opinion of the organization, which I think is great.
I want to be clear, guys, again, so with Blizzard is doing a lot of things that I find to be extremely interesting with the league, and they have a lot of they're looking to transform the industry in a lot of ways, and I believe in a lot of it, and I definitely believe in Blizzard in general. I'm not just saying that because I'm on a podcast and somebody's gonna call me out, but we work with them very closely across many games, and I mean directly with them in a lot of cases. Granted, their departments don't necessarily that doesn't mean Blizzard's not just one amalgamous blob. They all have their own different departments and games we're in. It's just I believe in their IP and I believe in their games, and I really Nate Nanzer I like a lot. I really think he's a super intelligent guy, and I like a lot of the things he's doing. There are basically certain restrictions or price points or things that, again, I can't talk about directly that could preclude people that just can't. I mean, at some point, it's like Ferraris are for people that can afford Ferraris, but that doesn't mean I don't want one, right? Like I do. I certainly want to be in the. I can't be more clear that I would absolutely want to be in. It's just there you have to make sure. Well, one, we would probably need to partner, as we said earlier, to do that, or we would have to raise a fair amount, right, to do that. And we want to be basically taking, if you call it a risk, taking that kind of risk for someone with a lot more financial stability is a great idea. So what I'm saying is it's not a zero-sum game necessarily. It doesn't mean if it's not a good idea for, say, CLG to do it, for instance, that doesn't mean it's not a good idea for everyone to not do it, right? Someone with, say, the Seattle Seahawks or something, it may be a great idea for them to do it, right? Because the upside is worth it to them. Whereas basically a CLG would have to go all in on that, and that would eat all their resources. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
I don't think in any way we think that you don't. I want to be, and I don't think that you've said that. I think that it's very evident that you'd want to be a part of that. It's just whether or not that happens, and then how it would happen if it does happen, is not something that you could talk about at this time, which I think is
right.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, we have burned over our time limit a little bit here.
Yeah.
Even though I'd like to keep talking about who plays what in Overwatch and what that whole thing is going to look like. But before we do let you go, Robert, is there anything that you wanted to say that we didn't get a chance to? Any shout outs you want to give? Anything like that?
No, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. I mean, I definitely like to say, I don't actually, I'll be direct, guys. I don't know what your core demographic is that watches the podcast, but certainly Tempo Storm's a brand that I'd say I previously overlooked myself, and I think that largely because they weren't in League of Legends, right? And I'd say certainly we're only in Challenger at this point, and the landscape's going to change. But Tempo Storm we're doing a lot of huge things. And there's a lot more to the esports space than just, are you in CSGO or League, right? There's a lot of interesting events. So if you ever want to come out to one of our gatherings or just hang out at one, we do firesides, we do online cups, anyone can join. I'm not just trying to plug the company, but I do want the community to know that that's part of our core value. And I think there's space for people that do that as well. I certainly want to, shout out to, our sponsors and thank Twitch has been very awesome. Obviously, we have a pretty large stream presence. Our meta threads are, I don't know if you guys saw him in the Tempo Storm chair that was just, came. I know it's a lot of teams have chairs. Those just came out for us. That was announced 1 or 2 weeks ago. And I just got mine literally 3 days ago. I just put it together last night because I was going to be on this. So Secret Lab does these chairs. They're really cool. I think they look great. I'm actually going to show you guys because shameless plug, but like it has this nice embroidering here.
Nice.
Really happy with that. Yeah, and I really appreciate you guys having me on here. I know you probably didn't know how much I would be able to talk about, but you know, I hope I gave you some good insight and things to chew on about what's going on.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's awesome, and also like your website's got deck builders, talent calculators, guides. I mean, you got a bunch of articles and stuff too. You're not just an esports team.
That's right.
Very cool.
Okay, guys. Well, we will have to wrap it up and say goodbye to Robert. Once again, thank you so much for appearing on the Score Esports podcast. It was really a pleasure. We'd love to keep talking.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
All right.
Wow.
Well,
that was a lot.
That was a lot, and we could have kept going. Like,
Yeah, no, we
seriously.
definitely could have
Like,
kept going.
I was really like, I had to cut it there, but that was a great conversation on a lot of levels.
Sure.
I think.
No, it's definitely good.
Tempo Storm to me is like it's going to be so cool to see what they do over the next.
That's right.
couple months,
Robert Del Papa is not messing around. He's a guy who knows his stuff. He's been on the ground floor for so many years, and I'm excited to see where Tempo Storm goes, especially with this LCS franchising, with the Overwatch League, with everything, man, with everything that's happened on the whole wide world of esports.
The final thing I want to say is just don't forget to hit us all up on social media. You can check out the Score Esports on, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. You can also hit us up individually. Colin McNeil, Ryan Stratton, Josh Burry. Tell us what guests you want, what questions you want for them. Give us criticisms, comments, whatever. Tell us you hate us. It's all
I like
gravy.
those the best.
You can't criticize my Heroes of the Storm shirt though. That's the only thing that's off the table.
Or my Street Fighter shirt. This is the part where I usually say every Monday we do the Score Esports podcast and every Tuesday we do the Nexus, except that we've done the Score Esports podcast 3 Tuesdays in a row, I think now. So tune in early in the week because we about it. We there. For Ryan, for Josh, I am Colin McNeil saying until next time, GG.
Not GG.